Call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Counselor Lehman.
Here.
Counselor Matthew.
Here.
Counselor Larson.
Here.
Counselor Keithley.
Here.
Mayor Swanson.
Here. Report from department heads. Public Works.
I'm sure you're all very much aware of the water issue we had yesterday. And what happened, actually, it's still kind of a mystery what the problem is. We're still working on trying to figure it out. But basically what happened is there's some kind of power issue, and so it wouldn't allow our distribution pumps to fill the water tower. And so the water tower was completely drained. And so that's why everyone lost pressure to their house, and we were able to get on our backup system. And then while I was trying to figure out what was wrong with what was going on in the water tower, it fixed itself. So we're back on the automated system, but we're babysitting right now because we don't know what exactly is wrong with it. So I've been talking with Minnesota Power, trying to figure out, because we might put on some recorders to kind of monitor what's going on with the power to see if we can kind of narrow down what the problem is. I'm going to go up hopefully tomorrow to go look over all the connections, make sure everything's tight, and see maybe something's loose up there. But it's still at the moment don't know what exactly the problem is. But everything is working currently.
Okay. Trent, is there anything on that system that tells you what time it went down?
No.
Oh.
Did you guys check on it on Saturday?
Yeah, we check it every single day. And actually, well, Dan checked it on Sunday, and we usually pump in 24 hours between 40,000 gallons and 75,000 gallons. It's in between there. It changes every single day. It's something different. But Dan checked it, and it pumped another 5,000 gallons after he'd already checked it, and that's when, from there on, because it shuts down periodically throughout the day. It's not running all the time. And so from there, when it happened, don't know. So,
Now, the proper protocol for people in town, if they do have an issue with their water pressure and it's after hours or something, would be to call 911, correct? If they want to,
yeah, if they can't get hold of it, but if they...
because now, we don't give out the employees' phone numbers. People don't have your phone number. A few people have it.
Monday, everyone seemed to have my phone number.
A few dozen, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
but if they don't have your number and they have an issue like that, calling 911 will get someone to get a hold of you.
The sheriff's office has my phone number, and that's actually the first person that did get a hold of me about the issue was the sheriff's office.
That was good.
Trent, is there like a, level indicator for the water tower?
No, not level, but we have a kind of a gauge that monitors the pressure of the system.
Okay.
And so once it gets down to a certain amount, we know that the tower's getting kind of low, because we want to stay at about 48, maybe 50 pounds is what we want to stay at for pressure, and it got down to nothing. So.
Any idea roughly how at 50 pounds, what's the level of the water tower?
Approximately about 3/4 of up on the tank. And sometimes on a colder day, you can kind of see the level by looking at condensation and stuff, but we don't actually have a level indicator.
How many gallon water tower is it?
100,000. And then our reservoir, underground reservoir, holds 200,000. So actually our deep well pumps into our reservoir, and from there our distribution pumps pull out of the reservoir and put it into the tower and into the systems of town.
And how many gallons do we go through a day?
40 to 75,000. Unless there's a water break, then it's usually
way up there.
Way up there, yeah.
Anything else to report?
And then, well, I put it in for last meeting, but I wasn't able to make it in the end. But I don't know if you guys still have the handout for that locator at all. And it's just kind of give you an idea of like, why I want to try to get this locator is because our current locator that we have, everything's put out in hertz as far as the frequency that goes into the lines for locating. Right now, it puts out 9,800 hertz, which when it comes to locating, that's a very big number. And okay, so when you put 9,800 hertz into something, you're getting your frequency, well, your area that you're covering is like, it's a pretty big area. And what you need for, like in our situation, is something small. So that's what this one has, is 512 hertz. And so it puts it just in a small little circle. Now anything that, like with our current one, anything that's within that big circle is also getting that frequency put into it. So when I'm trying to locate stuff, well, gas company and the telephone company, all their stuff's right on top of our stuff, and then it's all branching out. So I'm actually putting frequencies into all the utilities, which I don't want to do that, because so when it's in there locating, I got frequency here, so my locator's bouncing back between all that. And this, well, I went to, last spring I went to locator school, and that's how I learned about all this stuff. And when I was there, all the cities were actually, I shouldn't say all of them, but the majority of them had this locator. And we did some field testing and everything. And me and one other guy had the locator that we had. And so we couldn't actually do the field testing with them. We had to do our own separate after everyone was done, because everyone had these locators. And they got onto these lines and they were zipping around and following it. Got on our locators and we were going the wrong direction. That just gives you an idea of the frustrations kind of that I go through.
When you don't have the right equipment,
yes. Like this locator, our locator, it does work.
Okay.
I'm not saying it doesn't work, but for our situation, it's not ideal. It's more for something where, like a power line or underground cable, that you know that's all that's really there, so you can clamp onto it and it spreads out on all the lines, and that's not the case. That's not what I want to do here in town.
Now, did you get more than one quote?
Yeah, and actually one person that came and they gave me a quote for one that's a lesser version of this, and it was $1 cheaper.
Oh, okay. So you'd like us to spend the additional $1 and get this one? Is that what you
How much was it, Trent?
After shipping, and the shipping, the guy, he might take that off too, because he wants to, if he does it, he's gonna come and train us, so I'm sure he'll actually hand deliver it, so it might not even be the shipping, but if the shipping is included, it's $3,900.
And that would come out of the electric fund?
Correct.
How many, have you had anywhere you've missed, any hits?
Oh no, I've never had any hits, but it's, like basically when I'm going, I'll be going along and I've got an idea where whatever line I'm trying to track, but then it starts pulling me over onto this other thing. So I know it's there, but it just starts, I have to spend a lot of time on some of these locates because it gets extremely frustrating.
In other words, this thing is more specific.
Yes, this is more,
Yeah.
like I was saying, it's a small area, and so it's pinpoints and it's less likely to jump over something. Because like, when I get onto if I do a water line, I go onto an outside spigot on someone's house. Well, they got all that stuff that's all that plumbing's right next to the telephone and everything.
Right.
So it just all jumps onto it because they're so close together, but with this and a smaller frequency, it actually doesn't jump over, it just stays right on that.
Would ours then be obsolete, or is there a call for that in certain instances?
Well, like, it's more, from what I heard, like, it's more for, like, good example, like, for underground electrical lines, you got a 3-phase cabinet, and all the underground cables that are going into it, you can clip on to, and everything's all right next to each other, so you can clip onto one line, and that actually sends the frequency on all those lines within that box, and so you can pick up all the lines going around.
That new locator deal, do you have to have a ground in the system someplace for it to work?
Yep.
Okay.
At all locators, you need to
Yep.
have a ground.
Are you buying this through that guy that you took that class through?
Yep. Yeah, he was actually one of the guys there.
I was with Trent and Diana the day up at Giants Ridge last year, and that guy was there. He's a very, very knowledgeable guy.
I'll make a motion that we allow Trent to purchase that locator for the $3,900
Through the electrical fund?
through the electrical fund, yes.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried?
Thank you, that's it.
That's it? All right, thank you, Trent.
Hey Trent, I got one question. Sorry. What was the grader out at repairing that? What was that for? I mean,
We got the bill from
It
Northland.
just, because it's an old machine, it's kind of been wearing out. And what holds the mold board, there's a ram that moves it in and out, side to side. And with the mounting bracket that holds it in there, it just kind of wore out over time and just kind of came out of its mounting bracket and made it slide over. And so then it sheared off all the hoses and just old machine, I guess. But they were able to get it in, they put in and it's kind of a goofy way that it sits, the bracket's like this, and the ram has just a little notch in it. It sits right inside that bracket. Well, that's where it kind of, over time, just wore out. And so they built it up so it shouldn't ever come out again.
Yeah, it ended up costing quite a bit more than the original estimate on that.
yeah, well, I was just looking at the sand repair
Yeah.
and the grader.
Yep, I did too, yeah.
And the sand, it wasn't a repair, that was just to get it transferred over.
Yeah.
Which that was actually not what we were given as an estimate.
No, $9,000, that's a lot of money for that.
Could have bought a new one.
I know that. But like I said, that wasn't what our estimate was.
Yeah.
Like you say though, from now on, if they think it's gonna run more than what they said, they have to notify City Hall here before they go ahead and do it. So people know.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Trent.
Yep.
Fire and ambulance, engineering. Attorney is here. Good evening, Todd.
Hi. No report.
Okay. Long range planning and zoning. Recreation board. Nope. Library board. Be the end of the month. And we have the sheriff. Good evening. Now, do we have this? We have it on the agenda to go into a closed session to discuss it, but if you can give us some information now, that would help in our discussion. This is Officer Schultz.
Yes, I'm the
Thank you.
supervising deputy for the sheriff's office in Hibbing, and it covers the Buhl area here.
All right. And at our last meeting, Officer Tar had given us some numbers, but he told us, he did clarify he wasn't sure, and so you're here to give us more accurate information.
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay. So in our discussion, he had talked with us about if we determined that we needed to go to an hourly rate, what that would look like.
Yes, and I actually did confirm that today with our auditor's office. And the hourly rate for 2017 will be $60 an hour. And that covers the deputy and the squad car, insurance on the squad car and everything else pertaining to that shift, if that's the way the city decides that they would like to do.
We were kind of, we had heard through Mr. Tar about, they like it when there's set schedules, and we were talking about like maybe 1 week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, then back to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 8
Yes.
hours a day.
Whatever the city prefers to do, certainly we'll try to accommodate that. How this works, and it's been being done in our Duluth office for like 15 years right now with Kenosha Township and Rice Lake. They contract hourly to have extra patrols in their township and city. And, but all these shifts are filled, if you will, on a deputy on their day off. So we post the shifts and they have to be willing to sign up. So it's a lot easier for us to fill these shifts if we post them, 3 weeks to 4 weeks in advance. So it gives the deputies time to plan out their days off, and if they, sign up, they can work the shift then.
Yeah, so by having a set schedule, it makes it a lot easier for Mr. Schultz.
More
or
likely
whichever,
to have it
yeah,
filled.
To fill it.
If we want to go that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
I mean, it's certainly obviously up to the city what they want to do, but it's a viable option that would cost less ultimately than having a full-time deputy here,
Right.
40 hours a week.
What about if it's a holiday, weekend? I mean, is it still $60 an hour?
It's still $60 an hour. So that being the case, say the 4th of July falls on a Saturday, and obviously you want extra patrol in town then, certainly we would post that shift. Sometimes it's hard to get deputies to sign up for those shifts if it's a holiday, to come and work on the day off.
So there's no guarantee that we'll get hours filled.
Ultimately, there likely would be a few shifts that would go unfilled, but we have a lot better chance of filling those shifts if we know a month in advance that this is what the shifts are. And we'd post them to all the deputies, in northern St. Louis County, and
Okay.
give everyone an opportunity to come and work that.
Okay.
Is there a minimum 8 hours a shift, or is it?
There's not, but in reality, an officer or deputy's not gonna wanna give up their day off to come and work for 2 or 4 hours. So I would recommend between 8 and 12-hour shifts. 8 hours would be the minimum. I would recommend to have success in filling those shifts.
But regular sheriffs are on 12-hour shifts?
Yes. And so obviously, we have some overtime ourselves, or if someone's on vacation, or if a deputy's out injured or whatever, to fill those shifts, and we post them the same way and have deputies sign up to work those shifts.
I'm sure you've been in contact with Mr. Litton and that kind of stuff, and you know that we had received a letter that we got canceled.
Yes.
Okay, how's that gonna work? In other words, are we gonna have to owe any more money on this now? Or is
As
this,
far as what, I don't understand.
well, originally it was always written in that contract, it had to be a 90-day notice,
Yes.
okay? But yet, on the other hand, he can just cancel it out, there is no 90-day notice then.
No, the date that he gave on his letter was March 31st.
March 31st, okay.
So that's 90 days, over 90 days.
But they condemned the car.
Well, yes and no. It's ultimately up to the city, but we're recommending that the miles are getting high to the point where it is becoming unsafe, and that is a safety concern.
Yeah.
And would not just be our department, but the state patrol, other cities have a mileage limit that they don't like to see a primary response squad responding with over that many miles on it. Because if the motor and transmission are even fine, the suspension and other equipment on the vehicle becomes potentially unsafe.
Well, understandable, Diana, was there something in that letter about the car? I thought there was a little item in that letter
The
that
one that
mentioned
Jen
that
just
mentioned that
received?
the car was
It
no
was no
longer going to be
longer-
used because it was deemed unsafe. Because they can look at it and make a recommendation even at 100,000 miles to 120, whatever.
But we weren't aware of anyone coming and looking at it.
Yeah.
I haven't read the letter recently. The Sheriff Littman sent me a copy of the letter that he was sending, and I was aware that it was going to be sent to the city. But I know in my conversations with him, he is certainly willing to work with the city. If you guys decide to make a plan to even buy a car and say order it, because like right now, we ordered new squads and it's taking 3 months to get them in even after we've ordered them. So if the city decides that that's what route you want to continue with, certainly we're going to work with the city, and if you have a squad coming in May or June, then the contract would not be canceled. Just with the projection of the miles that are currently kind of on the car right now, which is 109,000, that come by the end of March, it's going to be pushing, up towards 120,000.
Right.
And that's an arbitrary number, it really is, but like I said, it's a common mileage used for all law enforcement agencies that I'm aware of.
I guess before when we bought the car, and that we did it this way years back, the car stayed in the stall here at the fire department.
Yes,
And boy, I'll tell you what, that sure cuts down on the mileage.
yes.
You know,
It does, and understandably so, and that's something the city can, do right now or do in the future too. That's, a decision that the city needs to make.
Right.
They want to allow the squad to.
that'll make it harder to get somebody to come here to work.
Yes,
Cause wasn't that before? It was a kind of a remote work deputies that were coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's probably what it was.
because the county's officers all take their cars home,
they do, yes.
so,
So there would be no problem, say, trying the hourly rate for 6 months or a year and then going back if it didn't work for us?
I would say the potential to go back would be, good, but that's not a decision that I could even make. That's something that the sheriff would have to make.
But if you decided to do that, then you'd have to have a squad car ordered.
Right, I just
Right.
want to know if that.
but we're
option
kind of at
is
that
out there.
point now.
Because as it is, you can end up paying for January, February, March. You're gonna be paying for 1/4 of a year of what we're on now.
Right,
Not necessarily.
No, I mean, the sheriff did indicate in his letter that he's willing to negotiate with the city to end the contract sooner. But in conversation that I've had with Jennifer is that to do it so we need to transfer the current deputy, Marty,
Yes.
to another duty station, that we have to post for transfers and then give 15 days for deputies to reply to where they want to go and then do the
Right.
transfers. So I mentioned that like a January 31st, I think the sheriff would be agreeable to, if that's the where you decide to go to end the contract then. And that would allow us time to do these transfers, to transfer the current deputy to another duty station.
well, we've certainly been happy with our deputy. He's a good officer, and the community has spoken very well of him from what I've heard. So it's certainly not anything that we'd like to have happen. It's just
Yes.
circumstances that are happening within the city right now that cause us to
Sure.
have to look at this. So I appreciate you coming. I don't know, do you have any more questions? I don't know.
So if we pull our car out of service, then what do we do with it then?
That'll go on auction bid. It'll be stripped out with all the stuff that's in it, computer, whatever, radio system, and then that goes on the auction block.
On the hourly thing, is there a minimum of 20 hours a week or?
No, not at all. I mean, it's what the city wants. If you want to schedule, one shift this week and 2 or 3 the next week, then you can certainly decide to do that.
But like you were saying, Paul, if you figured out a set schedule, that would work every week. It's a lot easier to fill the shifts and that kind of stuff.
Just even notifying or being able to post these shifts, like I said, 2
month
months
ahead.
in advance, so we have a lot better chance of getting them filled.
And then, what about that ticket writers, then our ordinances and stuff in there, or what you?
Has any ever been written out of there? I don't think there's even ever been one written out of there.
No.
So we're not losing anything on that. We thought that was gonna go into effect, but it was kind of when there was a change of guard here, and I think it got lost in the,
But Jim and I, we spent many hours with Mr. McKenzie setting up that ticket writing deal and redoing the ordinances and the fines and that kind of stuff. And we thought it got enacted and everything was going fine with it, but now come to find out,
There's been no tickets,
No.
tickets written.
no,
Only state statutes.
right, which is what we'll get with the hourly rate anyway, so. Yeah,
well, whatever we decide, we'll have Diana or Jennifer give a call.
All right.
but, yeah. It would be nice to keep a full-time officer, but I guess the county's not interested in working on the car aspect of it. Even if we could purchase every other one or do something like that, it might be a little more feasible for us, but we're not there this time, so I don't know. But thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you,
For your
Mr.
help.
Sherrill. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
If you have any other questions, just feel free to get a hold of me.
Okay, I will, thank you. Clerk's report.
We received the final payment on our Whiteside project for the CDBG grant, so we've got the full 95,000. We submitted the reimbursement for the old nursing home demo to the IRRB to get that $78,000 grant reimbursement, so we're hoping to get that by the end of the year and get that closed. Well, let's see. Sergeant Tar was in and signed off on the tobacco license, which is on the agenda for C&B warehouse. And we received all the liquor license back from the state, and those have all been distributed to the appropriate establishments.
Okay.
Good.
Dan, and then we have a meeting on the 29th at 10 o'clock, right?
Yes,
Yes,
that's for year-end business.
right. All right. Any council additions to the agenda? We'll add the Arrowhead Regional Firefighters Association dues of $60. We'll add that on before we go into closed session.
Right, yeah.
Any citizens forum? Council consent agenda, the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes of December 6th.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Claims?
Oh, make a motion, we accept the claims for the pay period of number 25.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. A, transfer of savings discussion. We need to transfer money from the post-retirement insurance savings account to the checking account for 2016 retirement insurance premiums. So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve transferring $19,069.69 from savings number 6510080 to checking number 80135 for retiree health insurance premiums.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Transfer of funds per union contract. For the union contract, the city must annually contribute $4,000 from the general fund and $3,000 from the water, refuse, and electric funds to the post-retirement internal service fund for retirement health care insurance premiums. Can I have that motion?
I'll make a motion to transfer 4,000 and 3,000 from the accounts.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Need a motion to approve the license application to make retail sale of cigarettes and other tobacco products for C&B Warehouse Distributing.
Make a motion to approve the tobacco license for C&B warehouse.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, the Rams membership dues. We were talking about, I was talking with Mr. Matthews today about this because we've questioned Rams before in the past and what exactly they've done for us and whether we want to continue with Rams.
What's your opinion?
Well, I don't know, it's a very good organization, and it's been around since 1939,
I know it's
and we've
been,
been a part of that since 2001,
Okay.
I think.
What are they doing for us?
Well, we haven't come with them with any concerns for us, but they are a lobbying group that is lobbying for the mines, which is for the workforce, mostly, a lot.
I don't know that I've seen much accomplishments. It seems like they have lots of meetings, but I don't see that there's a lot of accomplishments with the meetings.
One meeting a month.
Well, and then they want the mayors to meet, and then we get a ton of emails about what's going on, but
They're working pretty closely with IRRR and the Blandon Foundation and stuff. I don't know.
I mean, I'll go with what you recommend. You know, you go to the meetings, you know what's going on there.
I've been going the last 2 years, and
Right.
it's, when I first started going, it was pretty chaotic.
Well, they had gone through some pretty
And
rough,
now with having Steve Georgie as their executive director, he's been very good at organizing and stuff.
it seems like he's taken it in a real different direction than what it used to be.
And yeah, his main goal right now is, like, a lot of it is promoting Rams and getting it out there and seen and going to these meetings and having a voice for the range. It's not just like city, it's a group for the whole range from Silver Bay to Crosby. You know, it brings a lot of people together.
And they still got a lobbyist working.
And actually, this year, we hired a lobbyist
Okay.
because the few years they've had Ron Dicklich,
Dicklich, yeah.
but he's retired now and he don't want to do it. So they hired Finch, or
I can't remember the name.
I know they had questioned whether they were going to hire a lobbyist, and when I saw that, my jaw kind of dropped because I thought, if you don't have a lobbyist, what are you? What are you now?
Yeah.
Because that's what they had always been, was supposedly a lobbying force for the Iron Range, for the schools and
the
small
lobbyist they hired
towns.
is from Virginia, and he does a couple other groups that he lobbies for, but he wanted Rams too, and he's been doing it a long time, so.
I had some concerns too, I have to say, over the election, and a lot of the emails I was getting, it was very partisan. And I think to be effective, you've got to work both sides of the aisles. You don't just go down there and decide you're only going to talk to one party and think that's going to help us up here, especially when they fall out of power, which happens. If they're not working on both sides of the aisles, I don't think they're effective.
That's what I kind of noticed that too, where that was kind of one side. I'm like, well, them guys want to come and talk to them, because we had Thomasoni
Yes.
come and talk to us about what was going on in the House and with representatives and all that, and they're all crying because they lost, but
Yeah. And I know he's been a real advocate, and he works hard for us up here. I think Thomasoni has been good to our community in particular, where others, like our governor, have not been friendly with the school and the things that have gone on in our community.
We won't get into that.
And with the mining industry up here, so,
it's not something that's gonna directly benefit us per se. I mean, if we needed to go down to and have some lobbying done, we could
use
have-
this organization for
use
it.
this for that.
Well, he mentioned one thing that I like, they're promoting the mining industry. Now, that affects every community around here,
Well, right.
if they're doing this.
And I think that's what you're saying by maybe not us in particular, but
Yeah.
area concerns that they go down and they're fighting for our area up here.
Because they do get a large amount of money from the taconite tax
Right.
for the group, but then they do have 40, we're part of 43 organizations now that are in the Rams.
I saw those numbers. I think that was in here. It currently has 46 active due
Yeah,
paying.
46, yeah.
That includes 22 cities, 9 townships, 15 schools.
So,
Well, I mean, it's nice to hear this from you, because if they're still actively doing this with the lobbyists and that kind of stuff, and the
Yeah.
concerns for the range, I guess I don't have a problem with
I
it.
can't remember what that lobbyist is gonna get, but he's for a full year, where Dicklich was only during the session.
Well, what does the lobbyist do for the rest of the year then?
If we need him, he's on.
I mean, if they're not in session, what do you have them lobbying for?
That's one of the that's a contract that he's had, was that he was gonna be our lobbyist for 2017, and for so much money.
I imagine it's a set fee, whether it involves 2 months or 6 months or what have you.
Because there was other contracts that we would have only had to pay for this session, but
Right.
they were just as much money,
Oh,
so. And this guy, with him being down there already for other groups,
He lobbies on behalf of others as well.
I think for the city of Virginia and stuff.
Okay.
I don't know which other ones exactly, but
well, in that case, I'll make a motion that we pay the $700 dues for the Rams for the year 2017.
I've had to count that $700 is actually fairly cheap compared to what other
Right, it's based on the size of the community.
kind of, it's quite a bit less than what other groups are paying, so it's not.
Well,
too
are you saying you want to pay for it this
No.
time? No,
bad. But I do enjoy going to the meetings
and they're interesting, and you think that they are worth continuing on with?
I think for the city of Buhl to have their name on the Rams thing and be in support of Rams, it looks good for Rams to have.
But if it looks good for Buhl is what we're concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, if we needed,
If we need them, and we may,
if we had something that we needed a lobbyist to lobby for us,
yeah? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Arrowhead Region Emergency Management Association dues in the amount of $20.
I'll make a motion, we pay the $20 for the Arrowhead Region Emergency Management Association.
Support.
Now that's cheap. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. I need a motion to approve to pay $140 to update Jennifer's notary public license. It's $120 to the state of Minnesota, $20 to the county, and it needs to be done every 5 years.
I'll make that motion to pay the $140 to update.
also for,
Yeah.
Any further discussion? When does this come due for her? Do you know when hers is up?
It is up, so she has to.
Yeah, she told me that, hers, expired.
Okay. I wonder,
Generally notary commissions go from January 31st to it'd be February 1st to January 31st of 5 years out. For some reason, I don't know what the reason is, but for some reason it's January 31st.
oh, okay,
Mine expires in 2018 on January 31st.
okay. Do we need more than one in our office?
It's good to have both of us.
Do we?
If I'm gone, like yesterday, somebody came in and needed something notarized, but I wasn't here, so Jen wasn't able to do it because she doesn't have her notary.
Okay. Do we want to wait till after the probationary period before we pay this
It's
out?
up to you
or-
guys.
Well, it's,
I think it's only $140, it's not.
he's a big spender tonight.
When
Okay,
when somebody comes in for a notary, is there a charge for that? or is
No.
it-
No.
No. Public
We don't.
service.
right.
Support.
All in favor?
First motion, who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Opposed, motion carried. Oh man, I'm doing good tonight. Oh boy. Mayor, council pay rates. Okay. We've talked about this off and on, the idea of being paid per meeting based on attendance. I have concerns about counselors who may be snowbirds or people who are missing because they forget, or, it's incentive to show up for your meetings, I think, and if you're gonna, it's something that we've talked about, and you can see other towns, some do it, some don't, there's certainly a range of different ways they do things, pay mileage. I think at one time, we did have one counselor who moved out of town and continued to draw for 6 months till his term had expired because he never resigned his commission. That was many years ago.
Looks like Buhl's are pretty close to what he's telling Vern.
Yes.
As far as what we're getting,
And I also think,
the stipend.
along with on your lines, that if you're not here, why you should get paid.
I agree, because I mean, I brought it up before as well, and I miss a few due to work, and I don't have a problem if.
2, they looked you up. For
But
the year, that
I-
happens.
I kind of feel if you're not here, you probably shouldn't be paid. I know there's other things that you might do, you know, phone calls and whatnot, but-
I guess, Paul, for me, I'd put one exception on there, and if there was a medical emergency,
Yeah, I don't,
something like that, which is, unforeseen and it couldn't be helped. I mean, just like tonight, Jennifer,
Yeah.
it's,
The library has their rule that if you miss 3 meetings that are not for a good cause, that you would be off their board. Well, for them, it's if you forget, if you decide to go to some event rather than to come here, you choose to be somewhere other than here for your own fun or something like that, well then, it has to be an excused absence for them, and I don't know if we want to go down that road, and then
No.
how complicated are we going to get with it? But
I don't have a problem. I mean, if we need a motion I'd make the motion that we are paid, per meeting, if,
by attendance, according to attendance,
if we're not, if you're not here.
for the 2 regular meetings, because some months we do have special meetings too.
We are not paid for those,
No,
so I guess, I don't know what they matter.
They're not paid because they're paid on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
that's right.
Do you want to be, is it paid per meeting? Any meeting? Paid just per regular meeting and a separate amount for a special meeting, or, there's lots of choices.
Complicates things.
Yeah,
I probably shouldn't even include the special meetings, just your regular scheduled meetings.
Regular.
We keep it simple.
yeah, and then if we have problems getting people at the special meetings, then we'll have to,
I don't know if anyone
No.
here does it for the money, so
No.
I don't think it's a big,
right.
I think it'd keep it kind of with the 2 meetings per month, and
I'll support Paul's motion.
Any further discussion?
Did you want to include a medical emergency deal in there, or not?
I guess we could if.
If you have doctor's notes.
I mean, things can happen, I just wondered if you wanted, or just go with the straight deal, what you're talking about.
I guess I'm comfortable with just the straight deal to
Okay.
keep it simple, and
Alrighty.
Do you want to state the rate in your motion?
what would it, 125 per meeting for counselors,
175 for mayor.
175 for mayor?
Any more discussion on that? What do you think, Sugar?
Fine with me.
No?
Makes no difference.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. When is this going to go into effect? In January at our next meeting then? Do we need that as part of the motion? Can we stipulate that?
We can stipulate it.
Effective January 1st.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We need approval to send Foreman Pink to the Minnesota Rural Water Association Conference in St. Cloud, March 7th through 9th. The cost is $230 plus additional $245 for 2 nights lodging.
It'll most likely be Dan this year.
Dan
As of
would-
last year, so that's
So
why I
you're
have Dan
thinking-
go this year.
Okay.
I make a motion that we put one of our Dan Seeger through the Minnesota Rural Water Association conference.
Support.
Now, if Dan's not able to go, Trent, would you go? So can we have that in the motion that either of our city employees? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Now, we have this Arrowhead Regional Firefighters Association dues in the amount of $65.
I'll make a motion, we pay the $65 dues for the Arrowhead Regional Firefighters Association.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And Stuart, are you abstaining?
She said I
It doesn't have to, he doesn't have to because it doesn't have to
really do
for
it.
personnel,
Oh, okay. All
like
right.
his pay or.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we close our regular meetings so we can go into a closed meeting session.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it's 7:43. We'll reopen our meeting. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we open our open meeting.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
8:05.
At 8:05, yes. Before we adjourn for the night, this is our last publicly recorded meeting of the year. And I would just like to thank Councillor Matthew, who has served for many years on our council.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your many years of service. How many years? 12?
12 on the council and 16 being a pain in the ass.
Well, we appreciate your service and thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. This meeting's adjourned.